What are bioplastics? The word bioplastic is used to describe plastic that have bio-based content, have the functionality to biodegrade at the end of life, or both bio-based and biodegradable. Bio-based bioplastic can come from feedstocks such as corn, sugar, lignin, grasses, algae, and waste agriculture byproducts, among the other renewable resources. Biodegradable bioplastics completely break down in the environment using natural processes such as microbial activity hydrolysis. They don't have to be bio-based to be biodegradable. Also, bioplastics may be recyclable. There are two types of objectives for this experiment. The first objective is to evaluate and compare the physical and chemical properties of the bioplastic produced using commercial starch and potato starch. And the second objective is to determine the most effective starch source for bioplastic production based on the experimental results.
The potatoes were peeled to remove impurities, and the potatoes were cut into cubes to be blended using a hand blender to extract the starch. In here, muslin cloth was used to filter out the mash. The filtered solution was placed in room temperature so that the starch will settle at the bottom of the beaker, and the supernatant was poured in the sink to obtain the precipitate of starch, which then poured on the aluminium tray. The aluminium tray, which contained starch, was then placed in oven at 50 degrees Celsius for 48 hours so that the remaining water would be vaporized. The incubation resulted a black layer formed on top, which was the fiber of potato, and then removed using spatula. Commercial starch was used for comparison towards potato starch to have a better observation. The ratio of starch for bioplastic production will be 5 grams of starch to 100 ml of distilled water to 1.5 ml of glycerol. In simplified, it will be 1 to 20 to 0.3. However, the starch that we obtained, our group obtained, was 1.5 gram of potato starch. So we improvised the formula of times 1.5 in each of the ratio. So which means 1 gram of starch multiplied with 1.5 will get 1.5 gram of starch that we obtained. So in 1.5 gram of starch will be ratioed to 30 ml of distilled water, will be ratioed to 0.45 ml of glycerol. Each starch was mixed well with distilled water for 15 minutes at 85 degrees Celsius to avoid clumps and complete dissolution. The mixture was then mixed with glycerol for 5 minutes after the heating process. The mixture was poured on petri dish and left in oven at 40 degrees Celsius overnight and continued to dry at room temperature for 3 days to let the water vaporize completely. The bioplastic made from potato starch is more flexible than the bioplastic made from commercial starch. This is because commercial starch contains other additives which has other polymers. In addition, potato contain high purity of starch than commercial starch. The texture of bioplastic made from potato starch is more smoother than the texture of bioplastic made from commercial starch due to the formation of clumps. This can be prevented by stirring the mixture constantly at 85 degrees Celsius.
In this experiment, we observed that bioplastic from potato starch has golden brown color, while bioplastic produced from commercial starch has transparent color. Bioplastic-based potato starch has slightly starchy odor and has seasoning smell. For commercial starch, it has neutral and slightly sweet smell.
Why potato was used as raw material for production of bioplastic? This is because potatoes contain high in starch content, which processed to create flexible and durable bioplastics. Production of potato has a lower carbon footprint and require less land and water to grow in high quantities. Other materials such as algae can be used as raw materials for bioplastic production. It is because algae contain starch for bioplastic production. Algae are known for their rapid growth, which makes a very good sustainable abundant source for bioplastic production. Glycerol acts as a plasticizer by improving the flexibility and pliability of polymers, such as starch in bioplastic experiment. As a small polar molecule, glycerol can penetrate the polymer matrix, creating spaces between polymer chains. This will disrupt the regular packing of polymer chains and reduces the intermolecular forces, resulting in increased mobility of the polymer molecules. In the case of potato starch-based bioplastic, glycerol helps prevent the reformation of strong, rigid structures within the starch matrix. This increased flexibility makes the bioplastic more stretchable and less brittle. When potato starch is heated, it undergoes a process called gelatinization. During gelatinization, the starch granules absorb water and swell, leading to the breakdown of crystalline structure. This transition results in amorphous structure. The amorphous structure formed during gelatinization allows the starch molecules to interact more freely, making them suitable for processes like film formation in bioplastic production.
In conclusion, the study shows how potato starch can be used as a sustainable substitute for conventional polymers made of potassium. Glycerol is added to the bioplastic to make it more environmentally friendly and flexible. This strategy is in line with the worldwide objective to lessen the use of non-renewable resources and eliminate plastic pollution.